Yeah, I mean, they checked to a play in that situation. That's what it was. Just like he checked to a play in the Kansas City game, and it worked. This one it didn't work. So, yeah. But now, do I think Jalen's played really good football? Hell yeah, he's played really good football, right? And as a team, like I said before we got into the little skid that we're in, he's the number one player in as people would talk through as far as MVP. Now we're in a skid, and when you're on a team that's lost 4 out of the last 5, then that goes away. And if any player of ours plays bad, we take onus on that. Like, hell yeah. Like I'm a little not like that's our job to make them play well and help them play well. That we are there to serve the players. And whenever, that's why I say, like, I know you think maybe in times like when I say blame me for that, I truly believe that if a player's not playing to the best of his ability, that's on me. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't correct the mistakes that they made and hold them accountable and just say, hey, that's on me. That's not what you do. You go in and you correct the stuff. But like, if the detail's off, it's a combination, right? Like, okay, well, the execution and the detail wasn't there, but did I coach it as well as I needed to?
Hey, y'all. Today on this episode of Honorable Mention, which is a Philly sports podcast, we have Jovan Alford. Usually you have him on the Decisions episode. I got Jovan today. No Kyler Watson. Jovan, how's it going, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. We're in the new year. The Eagles are trying to figure out what they're trying to do. So, I mean, we're at the end of the football season, so it's a lot to discuss as we start off a new year and end another football season, which just seems like it's just flown by so fast.
Absolutely. It's been a great season. The tail end for the people who are local and like the same teams we like. It's been an interesting last few weeks, but as an NFL season, it's been a very exciting season to watch. Tons of parity, a lot of good teams losing to bad teams. Just talk about the Arizona Cardinals beating the Philadelphia Eagles last week. Really anything can happen because there's two sides of that coin. Right. I definitely feel like it was more of the Eagles losing the game. I want to give some credit to the Cardinals, but I don't want to hear the Eagles saying this, but I feel like the Eagles gave it away more than the Cardinals gained it. You agree, right?
Yeah. There were some plays that you just knew, like, hey, man, the Eagles are the better team on paper, and you shouldn't allow certain things to happen. But, I mean, when you give up, almost 500 yards of total offense and 221 rushing yards on the ground to a Cardinals team that didn't look great against the Bears, I mean, you could only blame yourself, for that loss. Like you said, it was more so them losing than the Cardinals, even though the Cardinals made some plays, but still, Eagles had multiple chances to put that game away.
Shady McCoy said on television the other day, you're watching the game, and some of the things that the Eagles aren't doing well are like things that, like, me as a flag football coach told, run fit. Like, if they're running here, you got to take this angle to get to the ball carrier. I mean, I was excited for the prospect of Shaq Leonard, but he looks cooked. I'm not trying to be on here to flame him, but I mean, he's taking the wrong angles. He's supposed to be a good coverage linebacker. Hasn't really, from what I've seen, hasn't really done well. We're still getting picked apart over the middle. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great game against the Giants, right, where he was just flying around the ball. I think he had a couple tackles for loss. He had like 7 tackles. He was all over the field, hitting in the backfield. But yeah, that Cardinals game just all out of sorts. I mean, there was so much confusion, in that back 7 between linebackers and secondary, which is a problem that you shouldn't be having at this point in the regular season. But I think it's just a microcosm of just how this Eagle season has been, for the team and just on both sides of the football.
They're a band that's playing different songs. Like, you got to have the D line and the linebackers and the DBs playing the same song. You got a band playing 3 different songs. This is ridiculous. Like, if you're watching the defensive line, the angles that they're taking need to be in concert with the linebackers are going to be doing. And it looks like looks so disjointed out there. It's crazy.
Yeah. And like you said, when you got your defensive line doing one thing and then your linebackers are going the opposite direction, or you got your corners and your safeties out of place on, certain play fakes, and you drop
Down in distance. It's horrible.
Yeah. And you're dropping edge rushers in the coverage, which is just mind-boggling to me that the Hassan Reddicks and the Brandon Grahams and Nolan Smith are all dropping back in coverage when they don't need to be. When this team haven't been able to manufacture sacks, is just, it's just not good.
As a fan of football, though, honestly, somebody who's gotten behind a joystick or time or two before in life, it was good. If you detach the Eagles fandom from it, it was disrespectful for them to be throwing Brandon Graham and Hassan Reddick in there. Like, this man can't audible and just throw past them and figure out how to. I mean, it's Hassan Reddick in coverage. He's a good player,
right.
But it's something that should be a staple of what you're trying to pull off here as a team. It'll make sense.
And I think, and every time he dropped back in coverage, I was watching. I'm like, all right, ball should go immediately right there. Right there. And what happened? The ball went right to that spot. And we saw even earlier in his career, right, coming out of Temple, Arizona tried to make him like an off-ball outside linebacker, in coverage, and that wasn't his thing, right? And then obviously they moved him hand in the dirt. He flourishes, into this amazing pass rusher, probably one of the more underrated guys in the league. And now, fast forward, with Matt Patricia, they're dropping him into coverage when that doesn't make sense at all. If you're going to do that, give me another. If you want to have another guy in coverage, give me another safety or another corner,
right?
Or DB
right.
to come fill.
Take
that
another
spot.
guy off the field. Exactly. I don't know. Yeah. So as we talk, it's Saturday, so I'm not going to try to hold. I don't want to get a take on Wax, and then people say, "Oh, he was all wrong about the game or how things are going." So I want to ask you a 30,000 foot question about the Steelers. Win or lose this game, they lose this game 80-0. No chance that Mike Tomlin's getting fired, right?
I would hope not. I mean, granted, right, as a Steelers fan, you expect better, but I mean, there's only so much he can do with this team, and it starts really at quarterback, right? They drafted Kenny Pickett in the first round last year, and he hasn't been able to be that guy that I think they might have envisioned him that he could be. I think a lot of people had a lot of high expectations for Pickett coming out of Pitt, where he had this amazing last year of college football. But you look at his, you look at what his performances before, his final year at Pitt, they were very mid, right? And then you have this breakout season, gets in the first round, gets to Pittsburgh. Obviously, Matt Canada wasn't the guy at offensive coordinator, but cannot really put that on the shoulders of Mike Tomlin. Yeah, he's the head coach, right? But with the level of consistency that he's been able to have at head coach in a division that's probably one of the more tougher ones and competitive in the league year after year, with Cincy, with Baltimore consistently, with, Harbaugh, and even now with Cleveland, right, with the job Kevin Stefanski done, right? This is a very competitive division that you can't say, like, we got to get rid of Mike Tomlin, because here's the other thing. Who's a better option than Mike Tomlin out here right now?
Right.
You're not going to get
Belichick
better.
really come in? And are we sure that Belichick's going to be better? Are we sure about that?
I mean, you see what's going on there, right? And they got worse quarterback problems, and look how, not even worse quarterback problems, just worse personnel.
And he's
issues.
in the kitchen, and
Right.
he's in the kitchen cooking that.
And that's a bigger problem for New England. But if you're a Steelers fan, you got to keep it going with Tomlin, right? The only way you get rid of Tomlin is if Tomlin says, "I'm ready to go somewhere else or retire." You don't let that go, because that model of consistency, there's a lot of NFL franchises that wish they had that.
He's the only coach in NFL history to never have a losing season.
That's impressive. It's a testament to how he gets those guys ready to play week after week, right? Because
it's a grind.
It is. And coming into this final week of the season, right? The Steelers, and he could have just been like, "Hey, it is what it is," right? Like, these last 3 games, we can just prepare to get a higher draft pick, and let's just play the rest of the strings out. But no, he got this team to this point where, hey, like whatever happened to week 18, we could be seeing this team playing next weekend, which is with 3 different quarterbacks, that's a testament to head coaching that a lot of organizations, like I said, don't have.
Absolutely. They very well could make it into the playoffs, and that would be just another testament. It could be, the winning and losing this game in a weird way is, I think for logical football minds, everybody knows that he really should be back next season, but there's a portion of that fan base, because I've heard it for years throughout many of these winning seasons. And I'm not even a Pittsburgh Steelers guy, just a football guy. I've heard it for years. So especially they missed the playoffs again. Pickett, the offense was a mess. This defense isn't, steel curtain. So people have that expectation, but I think it's too lofty. And I think that you put Mike Tomlin's resume up against anybody, not named Belichick, Andy Reid, those type of guys. And he matches up against anybody.
Yeah, like you said, you match it around Belichick. You take out Belichick out the equation, Reed, Harbaugh, and maybe Shanahan. Maybe like out of those guys, he's really the next. He's the best. He's the best option out there. So if you're a Steelers fan, you got to ride with him, and you hope that in the offseason they get a better offensive coordinator that kind of helps take this offense to the next level, because they have the pieces. It's just not the right system and right fit. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do at quarterback, because this is a quarterback-driven league, as obvious, right? You need a playmaker or a game manager, right? And Kenny Pickett does not fit the mold of neither two right now.
No. Yeah, it's quite interesting, but at least Najee Harris, they do have Najee Harris finally stepping up and looking like that reliable bruiser back who's not going to put the ball on the ground. Not to jinx him or anything during a game that may be going on right now, but generally he's been pretty good this year. It's been a good season finally for Najee Harris, I must say.
Oh yeah, I mean, for again, first round pick guy, you hope that he can start paying some dividends. And what was the perfect time for it to happen, right? You're going to your third string quarterback. Somebody needs to step up and make plays. And hey, he's showing why he was a first round pick. Give him the ball and let him go to work.
Absolutely. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break.
But I think when you talk about winning and losing, it's everybody's fault. When you win, the coaches coach well, the players play well, and it's vice versa when we lose. So I think when you look at the things that's been going on the past month or so, whatever, I think we will put it on everybody's, but I think everybody would say the same thing. So I don't look at it as like it's players' faults or whatever it may be. I just look at it like when a play is called, we got to go execute the call no matter what it is. So yeah.
All right, y'all. We're back talking about the Week 18 slate. Finally, the final week of the season. Last year, the Eagles were kind of sitting pretty in a much different position. Not so much watching around, but Atlanta at New Orleans. New Orleans with 3-point favorites. Who you got in that one?
Man, oh man. Who do I have in this one? This is probably not one of the most prettiest games, but as we talked about, as we talked about at the top of the show, right? It's a game that matters, right? It's a game that has a lot of significance. 3, geez Louise, can go either way, because we just saw this Falcons team beat the Saints like 5-6 weeks ago and held the Saints to 5 field goals. Which was a testament to how good the Falcons defense was. But with the way both of these teams are trending right now, I would lean towards the Saints. They know what's on the line here. Both of these teams do, but I just think they have the better offense right now that's clicking at the right time.
I can't trust Atlanta's offense. I'm sorry. And even as pissed as I am with the Philadelphia Eagles, if they end up having to go to Atlanta, I'm about 9 out of 10 confident that they go in there and whoop them
easily. I mean, and unless there's like a Desmond Ridder, like Taylor Heineke masterclass coming, and if that happens, then I mean, you might got to remove all the defensive coaches off the staff if that happens. But yeah, like you said about Atlanta, they're not good offensively, which is crazy because of the amount of talent they've picked up
and
over the
first
last
round
few years in the
picks.
draft. Yes. Yes.
High first round picks. London, Robinson, Pitts. What? And you can't get it. You can't get it together. They should have ran away with this division.
They should have. And it's surprising that Drake London's having the year that he's having because of how shaky the quarterback play has been. And I also think that's also an issue with Arthur Smith.
You gonna mess with his money. You gonna mess with his money.
Yeah. But hey, man, if he continues to show like, hey, with shoddy quarterback play, I can still make plays. Whenever he becomes a free agent, teams might be looking like, hey, he did pretty well in Atlanta offense. Let's see what he does.
He'll get okay money though. He's not gonna get that stupid money. One of those all the tickers that like you gotta stop and Google it real quick. Like, is that the number that I saw? It's not gonna be one of those numbers for Drake London. And he could have that kind of potential, I believe.
Oh, yeah, no. The leap that he's taken from year 1 to year 2 has been, incredible. Like you said, it just comes back to quarterback play. Like, you don't know what you're going to get out of Desmond Ridder, and I think Heineke's questionable for this game. So if you're the Saints defense, you got to be really liking this situation right now because it's like, all right, the last time he faced Desmond Ridder, he had 2 interceptions. The only issue was on offense, we couldn't score. If we score and convert inside the red zone, which has been an issue this year for New Orleans, they should pull away and win this one.
On the other hand, the other quarterback in this game, David Carr, last time he played the Philadelphia Eagles, he carved them up real nice. 31 of 34 for 323, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception in that game. Basically, that was the game that really put Jonathan Gannon on back. That was an inflection point in a lot of Eagles fans' minds on Jonathan Gannon, who just beat the Eagles last week. Because they just gave away free first downs like what we talk about the Eagles are doing now. You think Carr does that again if the Eagles end up having to go down to New Orleans?
I mean, it's a possibility, right? Just because I could see him, he's not so much really pushing the ball down the field this year. I feel like on some of the games with a guy like Alvin Kamara, he could literally just dink and dunk this defense to death. Like literally with Kamara out of the backfield. And then then you have Olave on the outside matched up either against Slay or Bradbury. Granted, Olave might not get the best of Slay, but who's to say if he's matched on Bradbury? Like if you're a Saints fan, right? You take that matchup 10 all out of 10. You take that matchup right all day. But here's the thing with Derek Carr. He hasn't really been like consistent this season. It's been very
he's a duck thrower too.
Yes, very up and down. You get pressure in his face. It's it's a whole different story, but then that goes to the fact of can the Eagles get pressure, which has been an issue this season.
It's unbelievable that we're having this. It's a fair conversation and it's accurate, but can you believe a team that has 70 sacks last year? Fast forward 1 year, 1 calendar year, we're talking about can the Eagles get pressure? I mean, not only just pressure, because Sweat was talking about I'm fine with it. I know from the body language after last game, and I'm not trying to beat up on him. He's not fine with it anymore, and I'm glad that he's finally there. He was saying, I don't care about, bringing the quarterback to the ground. I'm getting pressure. I think that, it's unbelievable that we're talking about that they can't bring the quarterback to the ground.
It is, and I think that's the issue that comes down to that's the issue that comes down to the scheme, right? This Sean Desai, Matt Patricia scheme, right? You look at the
Fangio.
Top. Yeah,
Look at how they're doing this year. Look up the numbers and all.
Yeah. And the Eagles don't have that, and hence why you have a team that only has 41 sacks, which you might say, wow, 41 sacks is amazing, right? But like you just mentioned last year, 70 to 41. That's a huge difference. That's
like 2 sacks a game, though. That's not enough pressure. Quarterbacks are dropping back 45 times a game. I mean, maybe when I pull it up later, I'll make sure that I have the right number in mind, but it's somewhere around that. It's in the 40s, mid 40s to 50. You're dropping back. You can only get 2 sacks.
And that's the crazy part, because then you look at their stats, their defensive metrics, right? And you wouldn't believe this. The Eagles are ranked 5th, which is crazy, are ranked 5th in quarterback pressures. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't matter because the stat doesn't matter.
Right, because they're not actually getting the quarterback down, right? Remember last week, you mentioned them, right? Josh Sweat bowls right through the offensive line, have Kyler Murray right there, but doesn't bring him down, leads to a play for Arizona.
Having played the position a little bit before, at least a little bit before, there's a million times, and I've watched it, coached it, all of it. You can get pressure right up in somebody's face, even deck him, and he throw a touchdown right in your face, just like Steph Curry. You put a hand in his face. Okay, I put a hand in Steph Curry's face. That's what pressure means.
Right.
That's what pressure means.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So if the Eagles can't get pressure on a guy like Derek Carr, trust me, he will take any openings he can get, especially with the confusion and just the bad play we see in the secondary and the linebacker crew. But hopefully with the Eagles getting healthier at this time on defense, maybe that can help them, if they were to potentially see them, in the playoffs, even though the Superdome is no joke and it will be, a tough road environment for them.
Chicago at Green Bay. This could be the biggest game. I would say is the biggest game of Justin Fields' career. Who you got in this game?
I went back and forth on this game because I really like how both of these quarterbacks are playing this year. I think Jordan Love, I don't think no one expected him to play the way that he's playing this year, especially when he's, you're talking about a young Packers offense, right? This is the same offense that Aaron Rodgers really didn't do like much of nothing in.
Correct.
But Jordan Love have come into this offense, and with Aaron Jones being in and out of all. Yeah, he's been cooking with rookies and second year wide receivers,
and no Christian Watson.
Right. So you're talking about Romeo Doubs, Jayden Reed, the rookie out of Michigan State, who's just been phenomenal, to that
Randall
offense.
Cobb Jr.
Yeah, but better. He might be better than him, which is crazy.
He might be.
And he's throwing the ball to him, Dontavius Wicks, Malik Heath, rookie tight ends, and he's making plays, right? So you got him, and then like you said, Fields, if the Bears, they played well the second half, and if they just played better in a few fourth quarters, right? Most memorable against the Browns a few weeks ago, against Detroit, where they had a double-digit lead. We could be talking about this game between these two teams as who gets in, who gets out,
right?
Doing the playoff to get into the playoffs. So I think this is going to be a fun game. 3 points. I think 3 points is the perfect number for this game because I think it's going to be close. I could see Green Bay winning, but I'm going to lean towards that +3 for Chicago. I think they're playing well offensively, and that defense, which has looked better with Montez Sweat, was a great trade by Ryan Poles. You get him. This defense in the last 5 games has had 14 turnovers. The Eagles defense wish they could have that. And Chicago's doing it. So just knowing that and knowing that I think Chicago, they're not going to, since this is like a week 18, like, all right, let's get ready to pack and go on vacation. I don't think we're going to see that. No. I'm going to take the +3 with Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely on the betting line. That I'd be right there. You agree with me that they should keep, regardless of how this game goes. I guess he throws 6 picks. Maybe we have a different conversation, but with all reasonable outcomes from this game, they should keep Justin Fields, right, and build around
without a doubt, man. Without a doubt. I mean, we've probably all seen it on social media. Everybody clamoring, saying, "Hey, you go get Caleb Williams." Change the whole franchise. Okay.
How do we know? How do we know that? Justin Fields was him. I mean, come on.
Technically, right. Technically, granted, Justin Fields ago. Right. Justin Fields doesn't have the Heisman that Caleb Williams has, but do people not forget we just saw what he did a few years ago against Trevor Lawrence and Clemson and the CFP? Right. He was shredding that Clemson defense, which had NFL players on it, throwing bombs to Chris Olave. And we're just supposed to say, hey, forget about it.
We know that Caleb Williams is better than him. Plus all the institutional knowledge that now Justin Fields now has, like that awareness of being a pro. He's not an old guy anyway. What was he, 24, 25 years old?
Yeah.
Are you just going to ditch him?
Yeah,
acting like we know that Caleb is that guy?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Draft projections are so weird, and I know everybody believes, Caleb could be the next Patrick Mahomes, which is just, I get it, right? His
He could
playmaking, what
be.
we saw, he could be, right? But if Chicago, are you willing to take that gamble when you know you have the sure thing that you could probably say last year was good, but this year's been better as a
He's
quarterback.
at least a
He's
C
been better.
plus.
Yeah, he's been better. And what happened last year? He was doing good with just Kmet, Daryl Mooney, and Chase Claypool. Then this year, you get him a bona fide number one wide receiver, DJ Moore. The offense starts to turn around and look better. So if I'm Chicago, I need to continue to add and build around them. I need to go use on my first round picks on a wide receiver. Let's keep on adding to the pile. And if some team wants to move to number one to take Caleb Williams, well then, hey, let's move down. Let's get their first round pick this year and next year to continue to build on both sides of the ball, because you have something there. You have talent there, offensively, defensively. You got Montez Sweat. Keep building around him. Don't let him go, because his ability
Don't get
with his
impatient.
arm.
Don't be the Commanders. Don't
Right.
be looking for the easy fix every 2 seasons, please.
Right. You need consistency, and I think Justin Fields brings that, because there's not many quarterbacks outside of Lamar Jackson with his speed that Fields possesses in the open field. You can't teach that, and you can't get that like literally nowhere else. So you need that. And I'm Chicago. Hey, I know Caleb Williams is the shiny object that you got that pick from the Panthers for. But hey, stick with him and keep on building, because I think he's just going to continue to get better and better.
Absolutely. You got to, and DJ Moore is a good wide receiver. DJ Moore is in the class with Devontae Smith, though.
Yes.
He's not an AJ guy. He's not a Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs guy.
Which is okay.
Right. Good wide receiver, legitimately good wide receivers. And if you got to play with them as your number one in the playoffs, they may still be able to get you there for sure.
Right.
But week in and week out, they're not challenging anybody for 2,000 yards, period. DJ Moore is a fine wide receiver, but you haven't given Justin a guy like that. And you have seen what has happened, oh my gosh, Josh Allen became, Jalen Hurts became when they got a Stephon Diggs, when they got AJ Brown.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're the Bears, could you imagine DJ Moore on one side and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the other side?
That's what I've been thinking. That's what I'm saying.
You add, that would be like almost compliment too, right? AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, right? Like that type of duo, which makes your offense so much easier, because now that forces the defense to say, all right, who do we cover? Who do we put our best cornerback on? Do you put it on DJ Moore, or do you put it on Marvin Harrison?
Or
Jr.?
you throw him in a bunch. Throw them in a bunch and put them in the mixer. If you know how to call plays, you can do that.
Yeah, and that's a whole other thing with their offensive coordinator. I don't know if he's the guy, but we'll see.
So Dallas at Washington. I wrote this down opposite, obviously, obvious typo here. Dallas is getting 13 points. Of course, the Commanders aren't 13-point favorites in this one. There's no way that the Cowboys flubbed this one, right?
I don't think so, even though they almost blew it against the Detroit Lions last weekend. They almost let Mike McCarthy with time management almost blew that one. But no, I don't see it happening. I think with the way that this Commanders defense has played, in that secondary, they give up a ton of touchdowns to wide receivers. And the way CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott are clicking. I mean, CeeDee Lamb had 200 plus yards last week against the Lions secondary, which has playmakers. It wouldn't be surprising me if I see CeeDee Lamb go off for 200 again, right? The only thing that stops Dallas from winning tomorrow is Dallas, right? If they just implode with turnovers and, let Sam Howell, torch them, or Jacoby Brissett, whoever they start, on Sunday, that's the only way they lose. This is, if you're a Cowboys fan, you're so thankful that the Eagles lost, on last week, because you have a cakewalk.
Need it.
Yeah. It's a cakewalk for them.
Yeah, you see that Sam Howell is on the top 10, maybe top 5. I was looking at it, of most sacked quarterbacks in NFL history, like in a season, and he didn't even start all the games this year. Like he's like a sack magnet. and they got a good player over there wearing a star. You might have heard of him.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. I mean, I feel sorry for him. I really do. I feel sorry for Sam Howell because, I mean, you go from remember he kind of got this opportunity to be the starting quarterback. How he played against Dallas last year in the regular season finale. And everybody was like,
26-6, that one. Yeah.
Like, hey, Sam Howell might be that guy. Maybe he's
not though. I've seen enough, and I hate to do this to the brother, but I've seen some Rex Grossman behavior out of Sam Howell. When that fight or flight, it is flight. It's
very Carson Wentz-ish, right? you just throwing that ball up there, hoping that somebody on the other end gets it. And like you said, it doesn't help that he's been sacked, like you said, an obscene amount of times. Actually, He's been sacked 61 times this season.
Yes,
61.
Yes. And what's the most all time? Because you pulled it up. Is it 72, 71, something like that? That's for a full season. People playing full seasons.
You might be right. Let me see. Since you said that,
yes, let's pull it up live for the people because this is ridiculous.
What's the name? Because David Carr. Remember, he was sacked 76 times as a rookie. So that might be the most time.
It's ridiculous.
And I remember that season. I remember the rookie
season. And
that's
in a 16-game season. So that's
4
sacks. More than that. 5 sacks.
That's 5 sacks more. And who's to
say? 5.5 a game. That's horrible.
Yeah. So you got what? You got 76 for Carr and 61 for Howe. All right. 15 more. Still not horrible, but I mean. Yeah.
But Sam Howell hasn't started all the games, though.
I know.
Hasn't played all the snaps.
Which is puzzling because he's, like you said, he's been pulled from a few games for the legend Jacoby Brissett. So
yes.
Hey,
yeah.
I mean, like you said, he's not
themselves in this position. The Eagles put themselves in this position. They got to take this L, go play on wild card weekend with the 5 next to them.
Yeah, sadly,
if you like the Eagles, don't do this to yourself. If you listen to this before the game, if you listen after, I warn folks. If you listen before the game, don't be scoreboard watching, really, really thinking that the Cowboys are about to mess this up because
right. unless we check in the red on it of like going to the fourth quarter. We got a tie game 20-20.
Yes.
Now your eyes going to
Let's scrap everything I said.
Right. It's 20-20 in the fourth quarter. You're going to sit there thinking to yourself, yo, is Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott really about to do this?
I don't know. It might be the wrong message. It might be the wrong message to the Eagles, though. Like, they played legitimately bad football for about like the last 2 months of the season, and they would get the number 2 seed and basically home field against anybody but San Francisco.
They would be the
number 2 seed.
But they would be the Vikings of last year, right? Remember the Vikings? And I didn't want to believe it, right? I didn't want to believe that the Eagles were the Vikings of last year because they kept getting those last minute wins, things like that. Vikings have home field in the first weekend of the playoffs. They get beat by the Giants.
All right, but the reason why I pushed back on the Vikings of last year and everything but this tells me that's exactly right. But I know Jalen Hurts is that guy. The difference is
me too.
Quarterback. I don't know Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. Jalen Hurts is that guy. That's the difference.
Yes, he is. I completely agree with you. And if you're an Eagles fan, like you said, do not get your if you're an Eagles fan, do not get your hopes up tomorrow. Like, don't sit there thinking Dak's going to throw this interception and it's going to be returned for a touchdown. Like, just worry about the Eagles getting through MetLife healthy and hopefully with a win.
47-17 Cowboys. But to blow the doors off of these boys at home.
That was like, wasn't that the Thanksgiving? Wasn't that the Thanksgiving score? Almost.
It was something like that. I think they run it back. I think they just don't match up well. And I don't know why the Eagles didn't torch them either time that they played them either. The Commanders' corners are just too slow, and CeeDee Lamb is just on fire.
on fire. It doesn't matter where you line CeeDee Lamb up, outside, inside. Shoot, Dak on a broken play just threw it up there, YOLO style, for a 92-yard touchdown. It was like, all right,
game over.
Just game over. Right.
People quit online.
Oh,
and you
man.
play somebody and you hit one of those.
You're like, all right, the connection's been dropped, plug pulled, TV off.
That's one of those. What about Buffalo? Buffalo's getting 2.5 points at Miami.
Man. This is the really precipice of, do you trust Josh Allen in this spot?
Mm-hmm.
Because granted, a lot of people say, look at the Bills will play better, but Josh Allen's numbers haven't been great over this span of time. I think he has 3. I forgot what's the last. I think it's like either last 3 or last 4 games. He's had 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but 6 rushing touchdowns. The red zone inside the 5 rushing touchdowns has helped him offensively. So optics say, hey, Buffalo's playing well. Miami's leaking oil on defense, missing a couple of guys. This is your shot to win the division.
They're going to miss Chubb.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are going to miss Chubb, especially against Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is just another guy there's 3 guys in the NFL, right? Or 4. Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Jalen Hurts are those guys.
Yes. Undoubtedly, they are that guy. The only thing is with Allen is, right, and he's had his issues turn over the ball. Is he going to have that crucial mistake when you don't need it? Because we just saw this Bills team blow the doors off of Dallas, even though it was in Buffalo, just ran the ball down their throats, just demolished them. Can they go into Miami and kind of assert that dominance on both sides of the football? That's going to be the key.
I also got to be honest, and I'm not trying to, be a Debbie Downer, but I'm not a Tua believer. I think Tua is due for a 5-pick playoff game. I'm gonna call it.
Oh my God! You think Tua's going to implode like that?
The way he throws the ball, sometimes I see a lot of anticipation, but sometimes there's just like legitimately bad throws. Like for a guy who's now in the years that he's in the NFL with the weapons he has with Waddle and Hill, and sometimes I'm just seeing duck after duck, and I don't know when it gets to crunching time. You heard it here first. I don't know about 5 picks, but
no,
I see 3 picks in the playoffs.
Hey, that's why for them, it's huge. You win this game. I think they win this game, they hold on to the number 2 seed. I think if Miami wins, they hold on to the number 2. So you need that home.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think you hold on to that home field, which you will need, regardless of who you play.
Yes.
You need that home field advantage because, like you said, that offense is high caliber and high power, and it's high octane. But we just saw, like you said, that Titans game a few weeks back, he didn't look hot. You take away one of his receivers, and it's all on Tua. Yeah, didn't go well.
I'm not a believer. We'll be right back after one quick commercial break.
We know going into this game, we want to try and get back to Eagle football. And whatever that is, whatever it takes, that's what we're going to do. So playing clean football, playing smart football, and going out there and executing at a high level. That's all it's going to take. That's what we talk about it all the time, but we've spent enough time talking, we're going to go out there and do it now. So the vibes are high this week, the energy's high, and got a good feeling this week that the boys are here.
All right, Jovan, to wrap up the show here, we're going to talk about, of course, the main event for people who are who like the same team as we're familiar with. Eagles are still getting, no matter that they are 1-4 in their last 5 games, they are still getting 5.5 points in this one. Who do you got in this one, Jovan?
Oh man. The Eagles have been such a letdown against teams that they're supposed to, blow the doors off of, right? They played the Giants on
5.5.
They're only 5.5. And
right.
It opened up at 6.5, which is incredible. It opened up at 6.5 and then dropped to 5.5. Obviously, because of not having Devonta Smith, that's probably where the point, comes into play here. Last time these two teams played, the Eagles, I think, were 13.5-point favorites, I
and
think.
they didn't cover. They won by 8.
Cover. Right. They were double-digit favorites last week, didn't cover. I mean, for everything that's going wrong, I think there was a temperature change in the room with A.J. Brown speaking this week. I don't know what, but I just felt like there was just this, from outside looking in, right? It just seemed like there was this temperature shift. Like, all right, everybody's saying all these things, but, at the end of the day, it's not the coach's fault that the coaches take the heat for us. We still have to go out and execute at the end of the day. And that's going to be the key for the Eagles, right? You can't think of tomorrow's game as, hey, if we win the division, right? Can't think that. You got to come in and just think, hey, we just need to play a clean first quarter, a complete second quarter, a complete third, and a complete fourth healthy, and get out of here and walk away. 5.5, granted, I know the Giants have Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod, has played well this season. They gave the Rams a run for their money last week, but I don't know if the Giants can ramp it up again for one more week, in front of their home crowd. So I'm going to, again, this might be going against the grain because we know how the Eagles have been. If I were betting on the Eagles, I would take the -5.5 because I think they want to. I would hope and believe that they want to prove a point tomorrow and show, hey, all right, this season has not gone to our expectations last 2 months, but we know playoff time is coming up. Let's give one good performance before the real action begins.
And you know what? I'm sick and tired. I totally agree with you, and I'm sick and tired of the idea that floating around that certain games don't matter anymore. The Eagles are not the number 1 seed because they haven't done that. And okay, we know that they're not better than the Eagles, so we're really getting ready for the playoff. You know what? To be honest, there's only 2 teams who I really even think are in the same realm with the Philadelphia Eagles talent-wise. The only 2 teams they can beat in the NFL who I would say are on par talent-wise with everybody else. So you got 28 other teams. You got the Eagles and 3 other teams, or 27 other teams. 27 teams are worse than the Philadelphia Eagles. You got the Ravens, Eagles, Cowboys, and the Niners. Everybody else, those are the only teams that I say are in the realm. So you have to be able to put one of these teams away. And the Giants are on the bottom half of that discussion. They're in the discussion for top 5 pick. You need to beat the hell out of them. And it means something. It does mean something. It's just loser talk to walk into the playoffs and say, oh, it doesn't matter. We're kind of locked in at the 5 anyways. So we just walk out with a 3-point win. I don't want to hear that.
Or the whole, Sirianni should sit his starters because it doesn't matter. No, you do not want your starters last game to be what happened against the Cardinals. You want them to go in with some kind of positive momentum and show hey, all right, things we didn't execute against the Cardinals, but look what we did on the road. We executed. We did a great job on third down. We executed in the red zone. We ran the ball well. And we got off the field on third down. We didn't give up, a ton of big plays in the passing game. All keys, right? Just me saying this. All keys to victory tomorrow for the Eagles. If they play, and I know we haven't seen them play a complete game, in a long time this season, this would be the time to do it. Go out there, play a complete game, and go with some type of positive momentum. Because I think everybody right now, for the most part, has counted them out and just say, hey, this team's done. It doesn't matter what they do in the playoffs. They could lose in the first round. Sirianni should be out of here. All that mumbo jumbo. I think they understand and hear all that noise. And we got to remember, this team almost won the Super Bowl last year.
Right.
With almost the same team, with the same pieces. Granted, the coaching and the play calling hasn't been great, but these guys know what it takes to get back to that point. They know everything they put in to get to that. So I believe they come out tomorrow and dominate to the point where, hey, maybe we get into late in the third quarter, late in the fourth quarter, they have a insurmountable lead, and then you can start pulling some guys because, hey, you put in some work, to get us to this point.
And it really does matter because just to get themselves warmed up a little bit, get themselves in a lather, because from the perspective of a division winner, again, unless you are the 49ers, the Cowboys, Eagles beat you. You beat the Eagles by more, but the Eagles already beat you. If I'm the Lions, do you really think that if the Eagles wake up and start being able to consistently run, get into the 30s and be able to get off the field on third down, you don't think the Eagles can go into Detroit and beat them?
Easily.
The
I don't trust that Detroit defense. Without a question,
right.
I don't trust it.
I don't trust either the Eagles or the Detroit defense, but I trust Jalen Hurts.
Yes, you should. You should. Because, hey, Jared Goff hasn't looked great down the stretch. Let's be real. He's had some of those questionable throws. So when you have, like you said, when you have a guy like Jalen Hurts, you're never out of the game. And I think we even saw that last weekend against the Cardinals, right? If the defense was just able to get just one stop, they would have won that game because Hurts continuously in that offense continuously went down the field for the most part and converted inside the red zone and scored touchdowns.
Right.
So you see, and that's the frustrating part with this team. You see bits and pieces of how good they can be, but they just haven't put it all together. And you hope tomorrow in the regular season finale they put it all together.
Well, let's get into the method in which they get there. Go through some categories. So most catches between Zacchaeus, Quez Watkins, and Julio Jones.
That's a good one. That is a really, really, really good one. Most catches. If I had to say most catches, no Smitty, I think we're going to see a group effort with Goddard, Swift. I'm going to go Julio. I can see Julio kind of being that possession, that extra possession wide receiver. He doesn't really have the long. Yes. He doesn't have the long speed anymore to get open. But I could see him being that extra big body at wide receiver to help out Goddard and Brown, because you got to think the Giants are going to try to take both of them out the passing game. So I could see another Julio big game. He played really well last week against the Cardinals, so I like Julio with the most catches.
Okay, but inside of that, yards then from those catches, who will have the most yards?
I'm gonna lean Zacchaeus.
Okay.
I'm gonna lean Zacchaeus. I think Zacchaeus is going to be guy, and I think we saw, in bits and pieces this season where if the play breaks down, he's going to find that open spot in the zone, and he's going to find get some few yards after the catch, right? I think we even saw it in his time in Atlanta, right? He's had some really, big and some very solid games, when given an extended opportunity and extended look. So I think he's going to lead the team in receiving yards out of that group. I don't think it's going to be, 100 yards now. If Zacchaeus has 100 yards, then, it is what it is. But I could see Zacchaeus
3 for 56, something like
3
that.
3 for 56. Yeah, I can see 3 for 56, 4 for 40, something along those lines. I could see that happening for him. And Julio has, maybe
6 for 36.
Yeah, essentially. And one of those might be a touchdown in the red zone.
Or 2. They look good last week. Even the tip ball. Why not throw this is one of the greatest NFL receivers in history.
And that's a red zone weapon. Obviously, he knows just where he just knows where to go when the ball is thrown.
It's just frustrating. Let's go to team total sacks over under 2.5 this week.
Man. I'm over 2.5. Over 2.5. I think they get some pressure. This week. It's going to be close. I think they get 3. I think Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, I think they get off on this Giants offensive line. This offensive line is not good at all. Not good.
They are not.
And I know the Eagles defensive line didn't get that much pressure in their first matchup at the Link, but I think they will get some pressure on this defensive line and make Tyrod Taylor uncomfortable in that pocket.
Team takeaways over under 1.5.
Ooh, I'm gonna take under. They might get 1. I don't see them getting 2 and getting greedy.
Get 2 takeaways from Tyrod and whoever they throw it out there.
No, because I think Tyrod Taylor, he plays a very
wily
conservative. Wily vet, very smart quarterback. He knows where to put the ball at. He knows he's
Except
not going
on
to
that
make that
2-point conversion last week. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was bad.
Yeah, that was bad. That was ugly. It was ugly.
Jalen Hurts over under 3.5 total touchdowns.
Over under 3.5 total touchdowns. So that means he's gonna have 4 total touchdowns. That would be great if that was the case. I want to take the under. I think you will have 2. I think you might see a rushing and a passing touchdown from him, and then you might see that ground game get going. With those.
They're not happy with that. I set that as the number. If I'm inside that building, I need 4. I need 2 on the ground, 2 in the air.
Hey, I mean, if you get 2 on the ground, 2 in the air, that's 28 points right there. That means, hey, we should be up in the fourth quarter like 35-14.
With these players, I should be able to take that stuff to the bank every week. I need 2 on the ground, especially with the tush push and all the stuff that you can run off of that. They're doing pop passes and stuff. Come on.
Hey,
come on. I need 2 in the air, 2 on the ground.
He could, unless you give the ball to the running backs, which is a foreign concept in the red zone, but you never know.
I mean, why not? Let's say they get 7-8 possessions. So you kick 2 field goals, you score 4 touchdowns, you punt twice. The Cardinals didn't punt.
No, they didn't. They did not, which is more disturbing of how bad defense has been, that you couldn't force Kyler Murray and James Conner to get off the field.
They threw a pick 6, but they didn't punt.
They did.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Swift over the Pro Bowl. DeAndre Swift from St. Joe's Prep, City Line Ave out there. Over under his season average, he's just under 17 touches. Mm-hmm. Is he going to be at above or under his season average?
I'm going to take the over here. I think we see a ton of DeAndre Swift in this matchup, especially with not having Devontae Smith there. I think we probably get to see a little bit more Swift in the passing game this week. Last time they played, he had 20 touches, all carries. But again, 20 carries for 92 yards and a touchdown. That's what we want to see, right? We want to see DeAndre Swift active, because when he gets the ball, this Eagles offense looks that much more explosive for a guy that's rightfully going to the Pro Bowl this year. So I want to take the over.
DeAndre Swift is better than Miles Sanders.
Yes, 100% without a doubt. Very good ball carrier, explosive vision. I think it's way better than Miles Sanders. Vision has been way better and is better than Miles Sanders. So I think we see at least 20 touches for Swift, whether that be 15 carries and 5 catches. Doesn't matter how you get it. Get Swift the ball and let him go to work behind that offensive line.
Wrap. That's it. That's the end of the pod right there.
Yes.
Damn, they're in the damn ball, man. Come on.
That's all you got to do, man. It's a weird foreign concept at this team, and I think it's one of their downfalls this year. They've gone away from what has worked for them, right? They've gone away from their identity. Their identity, what helped you, in the first 2 years of Sirianni era was run the ball, pass second. You run the ball to open up the passing game, everything kind of flows there. This year they kind of flipped the script and don't do that, which is puzzling when you have DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott, even Rashad Penny, who they activated last week, even though he didn't play. Right? You have a stable running back.
What was that?
I do not know. I do not know. If you're Rashad Penny, I don't know what you're thinking just being here when you haven't been used.
They wasted a year of that man's career.
They did, which is just mind-boggling, because again, when you have one of the better offensive lines in football, there's no reason why you should not have 30 to 35 carries from your running back room alone every week. You just pound the teams until the opposing team shows they cannot stop the run. And that's because
that's how you get deep plays. This team wants to hit the chunk play. set up the chunk play because the safety bites down.
Yes.
This possession, they got the second. On a second first down, that corner wants to move up. That safety wants to move up because they're tired of DeAndre Swift shaking them up out of their shoes.
Yep.
And so I'm going to step up. All right. They're not really passing today. And then Devontae Smith is run past you. A.J. Brown is run past. That's how you get the shots we want to hit. You only need one or two of those, and the stat line looks different. The game looks all different. Hassan Reddick, everybody pinning their ears back because you set it up with the run, folks. It's basic football.
It's simple football. And even when you go to even when you mention the chunk plays, right? Not everything has to be, a deep shot, streak down the field, right?
Right.
We saw A.J. Brown. You put A.J. Brown on the slant. It hit him in stride. There's not many people that's stopping him. Devontae Smith, against the Giants on Christmas, right?
Yes.
On a drag. Hit him in stride. There's nobody stopping him. The Julio touchdown last week, the first one he scored against the Cardinals, just a nice crosser going across the field. Boom, hit him. Those are how you create the explosive play. Not everything needs to be a deep shot where the defense knows, hey, like you said, we're not running the ball. So, yeah. If we're not running the ball, I'm going to back up and have that safety over the top and say, hey, if you somehow gets this ball there, then that's a great throw. But I'm going to make it difficult for you to do so. So there's so many ways for this Eagles offense to create those explosive plays. They're not doing it this year, and that's the reason why they're at where they're at, at this point in the season.
Protect the defense, run the ball. I'm not saying
literally.
That's
the truth. No, that's the truth. You have to protect that, and I think that's how you have to do it. And if you're the offense, you kind of saw it last week. You have to protect the defense because they cannot get off the field.
Stay on the field. Just don't stay on the field. Don't turn it over. Get seven. Take a whole quarter to get 7.
There's nothing wrong with having 10-play, 15-play drives. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Because you're going to need those type of drives in the playoffs if you want to advance. You're going to need those methodical 10-play, 12-play drives to kind of get you in scoring range, because you can't go 5 plays, punt, quick shot, we might score, but hey, you got to put the defense back on the field against, whatever offense you may see in the first round.
This team is not built to win a slugfest. This team is built to pin its ears, to get ahead of you, pin their ears back, and come after your quarterback. Big play Slay to get you throw something silly. He's taking it the other way. That's what this team is built to do. They just haven't built those kind of leads. They built I guess in the second half of these last few games, but over the course of this season, they just haven't had a chance to play like that much.
No, they haven't been able to, do that this much, and that's hurt them, right? I only think there's only been a few games that they've had really that pin their ears back mentality. The Buccaneers game where they won 25-11, where Swift had like 175 on the ground.
That's right.
Where we just talked about, you run the football, and they ran the football like, we dare you to stop us. We dare you to stop us. We're going to continue to do that, but outside of that game, there is no other game where you felt where they won comfortably. Dolphins was about 14. The Commanders was about 7. Dallas by 5 the first time. Kansas City by 4. Buffalo by 3 in overtime. And then the losses, you got 4 in the last 5. You lost 4 out of the last 5. So there haven't been a ton of comfortable wins where you, like you say, you dominate and let the defense just pin their ears back and just go after the quarterback.
Well, we'll see if they don't have to. I mean, again, this is basic gap responsibilities, covering for the defense, a defense that we know is leaking oil. This is stuff that hopefully has been in the game plan all week. Jovan, it's always great to talk to you. We had a little bit of a longer pod, y'all. Thank you for hanging on, and thank you for following along. Jovan, where can we follow along and show you some support?
Oh yeah, so yeah, people can just follow me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call that app these days. Just follow me at Jovan10 for everything that might be coming across my timeline. You might not know what's there, but there'll be some good stuff there for you.
Absolutely. All right, take care, y'all.
It's just a moment of reflection, a moment of reflection, and we still have everything in front of us to learn from everything that's going on as a team, and put the right energy towards it, and towards the things that we can control. control and being the best team we can be. So, you know, it's something we got to grow from.